Wow. Paul, we're live. We're live. We're going to talk about the DealMachine Academy event, which is going to be our second event that we've had. We had one last year. And Paul, you were one of the 15 investors who actually came. It's for people who do over $100,000 a year. And everyone's got their own reason for coming. But one of the biggest reasons why I believe a lot of people came was actually because it's kind of lonely starting a business. You're a solo entrepreneur, you get to 100K, and then you want to talk to people who are at your same level or maybe a little bit further ahead to help you with the issues you're having that your friends from your friends don't understand because they're not making 100K doing real estate. So why did you specifically come last year? And is that changed this year?
So last year I really wanted to meet you and your staff and everybody in person that I had built a relationship with over the last year or two. And
we were excited to meet you too.
Yeah. And that was phenomenal. And then I don't know that I knew any of the investors that were coming. So I can't say I was coming because I wanted to meet anybody in particular. It was really just you and your staff and team. And I think it just helps to get around other people and get outside of your bubble, right?
Yeah.
And build relationships outside of the day-to-day. So that was kind of my reason last year. This year, I would say, why am I coming back again? Why am I investing the time and money to come back again? Well, number one, I'm bringing my wife this time. So I'm excited about getting to spend time in Indianapolis with her. Then secondly, I would say, if I had to just boil it down to one thing, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll keep getting what you've been getting. And so for me, I'm looking to go to a higher level of performance. I believe that I have greater potential than what I'm currently achieving in terms of my company, my team, my gross revenue, my relationship skills, everything. So I'm wanting to kind of level up and go to another level.
I love that. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're not going to get any further. Or you said it more eloquently than that, but I am summarizing it in my own words now. A lot of people I feel like actually came to you because, here's the format of the event. It's 2 days in Indianapolis,
right?
And it's in October. Let me just double check the dates so I make sure I say it correctly. The 10th and 11th.
10th and 11th. That's right.
Which is a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
Yep.
At DealMachine headquarters. We spend 2 days inside the boardroom of the Alexander Hotel, boutique hotel, top of the hotel, all glass. And then everybody does like a 20-minute presentation on kind of who they are, why they started their business, where they're at currently. And then they talk about something they want to share. Could be a case study of like a strange deal that they did, or it could be, Paul, everybody, you might have given one of the best gives, which was your agent referral program, right? So you went from like 600K to 1.3 million, I believe. And you did that by adding the agent referral strategy, which is a zero cost marketing channel. Right? That gets you all that extra revenue. So a lot of people really, really enjoyed that. And I know I'm personally implementing a piece of that as well right now. Yeah. So I'm really happy that you're bringing your wife too. Is she going to come to the event, or are you guys is she going to come to the dinners, or how's that?
Dinners, but not the event. Yeah. She won't, She won't want to be, she would be fine coming to it. She would enjoy it, but she'll want to kind of see Indianapolis and then enjoy the dinners and then meet some of the investors at the dinners, that kind of thing. So she won't come to the actual mastermind.
One of the highlights for me was actually, we got to play basketball in the morning. Yep. And then you, me, and Corey Boatwright did a workout, I think both mornings. And that was really amazing. Something else just come to mind was one of the guys that came, Danny, I think he was making too much money driving around in his truck looking for rundown houses. And he's like, but I just love doing this. And everybody's like, Danny, you're making $250,000 a year. It's about time that you focus on closing the deals rather than driving around and looking for those rundown properties, right? So I feel like the group really held him to that, right? Like they have called him out.
Yeah, and Danny's in Charlotte. He's crushing it. He's probably more in the $750,000 to $1 million range. So yeah, he's doing really well. So yeah, it's kind of like that's kind of like the thing of we don't see a lot of our blind spots in business as entrepreneurs, especially if our current real estate investment firm is our first foray into entrepreneurship. It's hard to see the blind spots, and so it takes having others hear us present, hear what we're doing, hear our strategies to kind of, and then having the humility to be approachable and receive feedback in a respectful way is it's invaluable. And I find that the people come to this event, they're humble, they want to grow, they want to learn, they check their egos at the door, and they're just ready to get better.
Yep. A couple other people who I felt had really good gives was Steve Richards that I wanted to mention. He's actually coming back, Paul, so he's going to be there as well. Yeah. So basically, everybody would present on their business, and I felt like Steve was somebody who just really gave a lot of advice because he's closed over 1,000 wholesale deals. Right. You've closed a lot too, and you also contributed a lot, but. I felt like it was amazing having him there because he just had like an insight for everybody's business that he was able to give. So I'm pumped he's coming back.
Yeah, when you have people that are Steve's age, and I know he wouldn't mind me saying this, but people that are in their 50s, in their maybe even 60s, there's some innate wisdom there in regards to personnel issues, in regards to crafting of job descriptions and roles and responsibilities. So I think that, having a couple of we'll call them old dogs without trying to offend them but we respect them. They have the advice, we're 38, we're 28. We haven't walked all the paths that they've walked. So it's good to have a diverse age range in the room.
What did you think of the dinners that we did last year? Did you think we should do those again, or what was your impression of those?
It's just fun. So, I mean, that's another reason to come is it's just enjoyable. The basketball and the workouts were fun. I loved those. That's why I participated in them every day. And then the dinners is just, you guys, first of all, Indy, right? So you're picking great restaurants that are tried and true that you've been to before, which is what I would do if someone was coming to my town. And it's just a great way to build relationships. I mean, the people that I've built relationships with, I still stay in touch with, and I was looking back. I called Winston Wright this morning, he came from Kansas City last year, and he had hit me up afterwards. He's like, "Hey, can you send me these 3 job descriptions and this profit first calculator?" And I was like, "Bam, yeah, I'll shoot them on." I texted them to him right from my Google Drive. So there's just a lot of easy sharing that goes on that everyone's kind of signed up for and ready to go and help each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that you stayed in touch with people after the event. And then he still felt comfortable to ask you for those job descriptions. He might not have needed them back then, but now he did, right? And you guys know each other. I love that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've been able to stay in touch with Fred and Oscar over the last couple of months, which has been phenomenal, from Fresno, California. But it's just, and Chris Merdine, but there were a lot of great investors that came, some of them I saw in Phoenix at the Growth Summit. I ran into Salim Usman, in Phoenix in April. So it's cool to be building these relationships over time.
For sure. Paul, can you talk about why is it that you actually got into real estate investing yourself?
Yeah,
what
sure.
drives you?
I wanted something different. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and after reading it, I thought to myself, okay, I don't know who Robert Kiyosaki is, and I don't trust him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the man that I do trust, which is my dad. And I'm going to ask my dad about the things that Robert says in his book. And if they're true, and if they're legitimate, and if a CPA backs what he's saying, then, I'll go with it. And so I started talking to my dad and to a CPA, and they just verified everything that was there. And so for me, I just kind of drew a line in the sand, and I said, for my personal investment, retirement, but then also hopefully one day my vocational income from my 9-to-5 job, I want that to be all derived from real estate, from the real estate industry. I didn't know what that looked like at the time, but I just knew for me, the concept of being able to have passive income, to be able to retire. I say retire, we all have different definitions of what that means, at a younger age, and have more freedom to spend with your wife or with your kids, or pursuing hobbies or whatever, is something that I was very interested in. So that's kind of what got me started.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so you got started because you read Rich Dad Poor Dad. You wanted to develop passive income,
Right.
but you really didn't know Robert, so you asked your dad.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I figured the whole idea, if you're not, the whole world trains us to think that retirement has to do with a certain amount of a nest egg and a certain amount of money. What's your number? That's what the Fidelity financial advising commercials used to say. What's your number? Is it 5 million? Is it 10 million? Is it 1 million? And so our whole culture sets up retirement in the definition of you have to have a certain number saved. But what Robert Kiyosaki said was different than that. He said that retirement is based off cash flow, and it's based off having residual passive income from rental properties or multifamily or businesses that can then support your living expenses and exceed your living expenses. So I thought, if that concept is true, it makes sense to me logically and makes sense mathematically. If it's true, then I think I'm going to sell out for that. And I've sold out. I mean, the last 16 years, I don't own any stocks, bonds, mutual funds, 401ks, 403bs. I don't own any of that. It's all just been real estate.
That's awesome. I'm pretty much the same way. It's because, like, the more you know, why wouldn't you just capitalize on the specialized knowledge that you've developed from the years that you've now been in this? It's like, why would you take a random risk on something that you don't know as well as real estate as you've gotten into it? And for the same reasons, I've kind of 80% invested in real estate myself. Yeah. So again, the event is for somebody who has started wholesaling. They've successfully been able to generate $100,000. And so the reason why we have that threshold for this event, because at DealMachine, we help all kinds of people get into real estate investing. This event is more about, in my opinion, kind of building a life, building a business around your life rather than letting that business run your life. Right now you've escaped that job you don't like and figured out you could pull money out of thin air doing this strategy of wholesaling. Can you talk a little bit about that, Paul? Like, how have you thought about your business in terms of how it should serve you rather than the other way around?
Yeah. I've been through an interesting journey over the last few years in starting up my firm, and just having multiple open heart surgeries. So it's been an interesting thing. I've kind of been forced to move through different phases faster than you might typically go. But when I started my company, it was literally just me. And I started closing deals and then brought in another team member that was just a summer intern at the time. And he helped me with lead gen and then dispo. So on the front end and the back end. And then after him, I basically converted him. I hired a dispo manager and then converted him to acquisitions. And I did acquisitions alongside him. And because of medical challenges I had to take some time, a few months off during the first 2 years. But eventually was able to grow a team and kind of create a true firm that has a team in place. But it's not been easy. It's been a challenge, but it's been something that I've appreciated how God's grown me through it. I think God's been very patient with me to kind of help me maybe rub off of some of my rough edges, with a little.
Oh, yeah.
Still got a lot of rough edges, but yeah, it's been a good journey. I don't even know if I answered your question. Did I answer your question?
You did. The way I interpret it was you had to have open heart surgery twice, and you had people in your business that knew how to run the business without you there, right?
Yeah. And we're still growing. Like, I'm still growing in my, we'll call it conforming Myers House Buyers, which is my firm here in Augusta, Georgia. conforming it to what Dan Sullivan, the owner of Strategic Coach and the author of books like Who Not How and The Gap in the Gain and 10X is Easier Than 2X. He calls it having a self-managing company. So I think I'm still growing in that respect and learning how to implement traction within our company. So again, I've got a long ways to go, but at least I do have a pathway towards a self-managing company where I could extract myself if so desired.
Yeah. And I'm so thankful you made it through the open heart surgery. That's something nobody wants to have to plan for. But there, obviously if you don't have to be around, that's fantastic. Because then you only have to worry about your health problem. You don't have to worry about, is the money going to still come in? But I'm sure people could picture themselves traveling, pursuing passions. I was just talking with Cody Hoffine. He's like, yeah, I only spend 10 to 2 every day in my office because that's all I want to spend on my business right now. And my team knows that. And so they can run it and he can have the lifestyle that he wants to with his family. So thanks for sharing your journey on that as well. And I'm really excited again to bring you back because I feel like you're at another chapter, right? Last year, you were like, well, I'm going to double my business again. So I'm very excited for what you're going to bring. I know it's going to be awesome. If anyone's listening to this and they've done over 100,000 in revenue, check out the link below and just submit an application. We'd love to chat with you and see where you're at, see if this event would be a good fit for you to take you to the next level. And I think doubling is actually a very real thing that you can do. And being around others that are at your level and above is the best way to do it. Yeah.
And have expectations on yourself. It's amazing the number of people I've probably talked to 5 or 10 investors just in the last week of they invest, but they don't into communities and coaching programs or whatever, but they're not closing deals and they're not getting a return on investment. Have an expectation of yourself and of this event that if you invest $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, whatever the total amount is. And I don't know if you want to talk about that now, but have an expectation that you're going to be able to get a 4X or a 5X return on the investment based on the relationships you build and the best practices you take away.
Yeah. So yeah, for $3,000 all inclusive not all inclusive. This is what it includes. It includes the 2-day event, 15 investors that are at your level or above. And then it also includes epic dinners and all the meals. You'd be responsible for your flight and your hotel at the Alexander, but we have a block that's like 20% off. And so that's basically what you get from the event. And so you'd want to think about it. Well, can I get the ROI back from this? Could be an extra deal per year, which I'm pretty sure is pretty possible.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, if your total expense is $4,000 or $4,500, let's just call it 4,000 for round numbers. You should be thinking, what do I need to come away from to where I can make 16 grand or 20 grand off of this, or maybe even 40 grand. That's to me what investors, it's no different than when you're investing in a marketing channel versus coaching or versus masterminds, which is a type of coaching. What are you going to get at an ROI perspective, and how can you realize that? I know that if people listen to what I have to present, I shouldn't say I know. I have a feeling that if they were to listen to what I present, I hope that I could deliver value that would allow them to easily make that amount up.
Absolutely. Even one deal. Plus, also Steve Richards is going to be there presenting. He's got over 1,000 deals under his belt. There's no mastermind with the caliber of people for as cheap of a price. So I'll just say that. It's a little bit of an investment, but our goal is not even to make money. We spend a lot of money back with like $4,500 even on just one meal, right? Average last time. So
I had a conversation yesterday with my friends in Fresno, Fred and Oscar, that came last year. They just they just listed this fix and flip yesterday for 315 grand. They told me they're going to sell it for 320. They did kind of what I was talking about in terms of building relationships with agents, and they had lunch with an agent that they never thought that this agent would ever send them a deal, because they assumed this agent investor would just do all the deals himself and never send them a deal. but they were open-minded and they were hungry and they were willing to learn. And they took this guy out to lunch and they put this home under contract in Fireball, California for 195 grand. And they spent 25 to reno it. So they're into it for 220 and they listed it for 315 and expect to net after a 5% in commissions, $84,000. So those are the kind of stories that people need to be thinking about. How can I level up my game? How can I squad up with other people? What is Paul Myers doing in Augusta, Georgia with relationships with agents?
Yeah.
And how can I do that in my market?
It's a lot. You're doing about $700,000 worth of revenue with agents last time I checked. So one thing I did want to address is, Paul, you're such an impressive guy, right? You grew your business from 700,000 to 1.3 million. That was last year. And so people would hear me say, we all give 20-minute presentations. And then they felt like they didn't have something valuable for you because they had only done maybe $100,000, right? And so just to kind of like take that kind of pressure off, what we want you to share is how you got to where you're at. Everyone's taken a different direction. And it's very likely that they have something in their story that you haven't done, right? Because there's just so many things in different real estate deals and situations that come up that we can all learn from. So I just don't want somebody to feel like they don't have anything to give. And I wouldn't want that to be the reason why they didn't apply, because I know they have something to give and I know they can take a lot out of it as well.
Yeah, trust me, I'm going to be grilling people for little nuggets while I'm there. And you have those nuggets. You just need to sit down in an office, close the door, lock it, and spend an hour and think about some deals you've done. Think about some value that you've added in the last year. And that's where you're going to find those nuggets. And then you'll be able to tell those stories. So you might not have a strategic concept like I do with relationships with agents, which is something I've incorporated in my business. But for you, it might be like a specific deal and how you did that deal and how you structured it. And that there may be some nuggets in there as well. So yeah,
100%.
Don't underestimate yourself. We do that to ourselves so much.
I do it all the time.
We all have something to give.
This is a great place to wrap this up. If you guys are listening and you've done over 100K in revenue, you want to get to the next level, check out the event, check out the page. There's some content, pictures, and faces. You could see who came last year, who you'd be hanging out with, and what some of their takeaways were too. Plus, Paul's going to be there, and he's a pretty awesome guy. I know he's a huge giver. It feels like it's ingrained in your persona. Your mission is to just give and help people. And I know that because you've gotten on calls with me, like just to help me, right? And there's like nothing that you're even getting in return for that, which is so generous. So take advantage of this, guys and gals. Check out the link below. And I will see you guys. I'm going to do another live with Steve Richards on Monday. So he's going to talk about, again, why he's coming back as well. So thank you so much, Paul, for your time. And I can't wait to see you in October.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to Shannon getting to meet you and giving you a hug on Monday. We're flying in Monday, October 9th. So look forward to seeing you that night for dinner and hors d'oeuvres.
I can't wait. I'm so glad Shannon's coming this time. That's going to be so fun.
She's going to love it. I'm excited.
All right. Well, Paul, thanks again and have a great Friday.
All right. Thanks, brother. Talk to you soon.